Hey, so what do you think happiness looks like? And how do you think it actually feels? That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Well, I'm suspicious that if I were to use a random common answer that can generalize most likely the majority of perspectives on this planet, it would be having a roof over your head. It would be having essentials to nurture and regulate your body to keep you alive. Having a source of income to live, and also not wanting to do any work that makes somebody miserable. And also having everything materially that I know that I've always wanted or thought about wanting and haven't gotten it yet. Or made any plans to create goals to achieve it and attain it, even if that means taking small steps at a time. Instant gratification. Recognition. Yeah, that's kind of like the generalized form of happiness that I guess I decided to teach myself was happiness, especially the part of feeling like I don't have to deal with any drama or problems with other people I encounter. So, yeah, being free of that too. Basically, I just want to be happy all the time through not having to deal with anything and just exist. To me, that is happiness, and having everything I want without having to struggle too much to get it. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's the summary of it. Yeah. What do you think it is? Well, I was reading this book and it got me thinking about realizing how shallow my perspective on happiness really was, and how much I built the idea of what I thought happiness was off of what I assumed it to be based off of things I observed throughout my time of living in this existence so far. And through reading what I read, I realized that happiness is not a destination of where you attain a goal to achieve. Because as I think about it, whenever I've achieved or attained something, the emotion of happiness was present, but it didn't last, as if I was seeking to attain the next thing to once again attain this feeling of happiness. And through what I read, it talked about how happiness is a feeling, not a state of destination of where you want to get to. And I had to really think about that for a minute, because if it's a feeling, then anything we do external of us is just an extension of us. And during those moments we attain the goal we're striving for, they're meant to be used to celebrate ourselves, not to be used to fuel what makes us happy. But it's in a sense just an external part of ourselves that we already were striving to attain, that we know already we were happy with striving for in the first place. But I realize, what if when we strive after goals that we're going after that make us happy, we're more hungry for the feeling of feeling happy and seeking it through what we achieve through our goals, then seeking to understand within ourselves how to accept being happy as we are while we are heading towards our own personal goals. Because I notice for myself that I assign my own happiness. In fact, I used to do this a lot. I used to assign my happiness based off of how well I achieved something that I was striving for. And I realized I had it backwards when I was analyzing this perspective. If we use a goal to fuel our happiness, a goal that is external of us, I realize why it doesn't last, why the emotion of happiness does not last. Because we're using the goal to fuel something we're supposed to nurture within ourselves, which is why I'm resonating with the fact that happiness is meant to be a feeling more than it is to be something that you attain or achieve. I also remember when I used to use recognition and praise from others external of myself to fuel my happiness as well, and found myself getting hooked on it to where that began to fuel what I thought was happiness. That lasted for a while. That was connected to a lot of my codependent traits I had to work through. And I believe that was happiness for a while as well, until I realized it wasn't. It was just another phase of me seeking something external of myself to fuel what I was still not learning how to nurture within myself. And I'm realizing, as I'm thinking about this, that it starts with self-acceptance and the courage to accept oneself wherever they're at. That is meant to fuel your happiness. Not instant gratification, not what you achieve when you're striving towards the goal, not material items that you attain over time. Those are just external things that you can celebrate, that just add on to something you're already pouring onto within yourself, where you already have a full cup, where you're already nurturing that within yourself, and anything external, it's just adding on to it. And you're celebrating it. You're not using that to fuel your internal happiness. And now that I'm thinking about it even deeper, this is how most folks, including myself, I'm identifying how that creates attachment issues, and why I know for me, I used to value feeling more happy about items than I did about connecting with other people and learning to connect with other people. Where I began to value items or achievements and goals over learning how to practice boundaries and values in developing healthy connections with others and with myself. So that's my take on it. What do you think? I think I have to think about it, because this is my first encounter with considering the possibility that that I can generate my own happiness within myself and consider that as being an actual reality where anything external of me that I happen to create, achieve, or do just adds on to what I'm already nurturing within myself. And I've never considered the idea that me approaching things the way that I originally saw happiness was causing me to attach more to material objects and goals than learning how to create a healthier connection with myself so that I can learn how to create and build healthy connections with others while also making sure I'm choosing the right connections for myself that are healthy. Yeah. No, I've never looked at it this way. I guess this is what happens when you use consistent observation to define what you think something is until you're presented the question of what you actually think it is. And then, even then, do you really know? Because I don't think we really know anything. We only know what we know best for ourselves. And we share it with others as a perspective shift, but then do they even really know either? Or are we still just learning together because it's a never ending stage of learning and relearning and breaking down and relearning, while also respecting that everyone has their own stage of how they learn, what they learn, and what resonates with them and what does not. And I guess if I were to try to hang on to what I think something is versus staying open to it, well, then that would be my ego getting in the way, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure my ego would be getting in the way of that one. But, yeah. But, that's why I said making sure, picking the healthy connections, because folks also got to respect other people. If people decide that a perspective doesn't sit or resonate with them, then it doesn't, and they need to back up. Leave them alone. Let them be. That means they're not in the same mindset as they are, and they have a completely different direction they're meant to go. And they also need to make peace with that too. And I wonder if that is connected to a projection of what they believe happiness looks like through the perspective shift they share because of the wisdom they believe is law. If they push it so hard onto somebody else versus allowing somebody else to discover their own truth that is also likely connected to their own internal happiness as well. My mind's kind of going now at this point. But good question.